Good evening, YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. And yes, I have my lighting and I have my fan. How you doing? So it seems like it's been way too long for me since I have done a full walkthrough video. So I am going to do a full walkthrough of one of my newer decks. It's listed as an Oracle card deck, but it's actually an expanded Lenormand deck. So it is called the Moonlight Night Oracle Deck. And on the website, its title is listed as the Moonlight Night Lenormand Oracle Deck. And the artist and author are listed as Tarocco Studio. Tarocco Studio, I believe, is located in Italy. I will include a link to the actual item, as well as any additional information about the deck in the description box. So I'm going to have Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audio-visual person, do a close-up of the front of the box. I believe this is the front of the box because the tuck box lid is right here. Every time I see a tuck box, I cannot help but think of Six of Wands, who loathes and detests tuck boxes. I know. Anyway, and here is the back. And I'm just going to do a quick 360. Now, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with Lenormand, it is a card reading system that originated in France. It traditionally has 36 cards. This is an expanded deck, so it actually has, I believe it is 44. So just a quick look. Yes, it has 44. So I'm going to do one card at a time. And first I'm going to have a sip of my phenomenal coffee, because you know I make my coffee. And I'm finally using my on-screen mug after not having used it for so long. And here we go. So first, we have the writer. And its playing card inset is the 9 of Hearts. By the way, this is one of the decks that I'm using for the upcoming Moon, Serpent, and Bone 5th Annual Samhain Festival, also known as the Black Mass Masquerade. And then we have the Clover. And what I love is that all of the images are taken as if under moonlight. And at the end of towards the end of this video, I will show you the gorgeous back of the card design, which truly is gorgeous. Oh, for the Clover, we have the 6 of Diamonds, and for the ship, we have the 10 of Spades. For the house, we have the King of Hearts. This is one of the few cards in Lenormand where I remember its chakra association. Not surprisingly, it is the root chakra, which is the chakra of house and home, of security, safety, money, and physical energy. Then we have the tree, and its playing card association is the 7 of Hearts. Some of these are renamed, so I'm using the guidebook to keep track of which cards are here so that I make sure to give you the correct name. Then we have card number 6, which is the Clouds. And the playing card inset is the King of Clubs. What I find interesting about this Clouds card is that it looks like both sides have both a dark side and a light side. Because traditionally, I'm not used to seeing the cards upside down in Lenormand. So I'm looking, and actually, yeah, because on the left side, it looks like it has light and dark, and on the right side it looks like it has all dark. So one could argue that anything that's on the right side of this particular clouds card is inauspicious, and anything that's on the left side of this card, given the design of this clouds card, is more auspicious. Then we have card number 7, the snake. And honey, that is one nasty looking snake. No offense to those of you in YouTube land who happen to love serpents and snakes. And the playing card association is the Queen of Clubs. And then we have card number 8, which is the coffin. And the playing card inset is the 9 of diamonds. You will notice that a lot of these cards have a very Gothic look to them. And certainly this coffin is a very Gothic looking coffin. Another reason why I felt it would be appropriate to use this one for the upcoming Moon, Serpent, and Bone 5th Annual Samhain Festival. Then we have card number 9, which is the bouquet. And the playing card inset and association is the Queen of Spades. Then we have card number 10, the scythe. Nasty looking scythe. Like if that card does not represent physical danger, I don't know what does. And the playing card association is the Jack of Diamonds. Are they looking good, Drake? Thank you, Drake. Then we have card number 11, which is called the broom. It is more commonly known as the whip. And it's really interesting because one could whip somebody with the handle of that broom, or the besom portion. And Jack of Clubs is the playing card association. Now, this was a lovely surprise because traditionally, card number 12 is called the birds. But in some Lenormand decks, and specifically the Gilded Chavary Lenormand by V. Shiro Marchetti, there are 2 12 cards. One card number 12 in that particular Lenormand deck is called the birds, and the other one is called the owls. They both have the same basic interpretations, but I figured owls would be a more appropriate image considering the overall theme of this particular Lenormand deck. Granted, it is listed as an Oracle deck, but this is not the first time that I have encountered an Oracle card deck that is based on Lenormand, and pretty much the first 36 cards are the traditional Lenormand cards. Pardon me. And 7 of Diamonds is the playing card inset and association. And then we have card number 13, which is the child. And of course, how appropriate, a little girl, a la Wednesday Addams, and a very creepy doll. I am not a fan of dolls. I'm a fan of teddy bears, I'm a fan of stuffed animals, regardless of what the stuffed animal is. But, you know, dolls have always creeped me the fuck out. There's a certain movie that is a part of the, I believe it's the Conjuring franchise, and the doll's name I refuse to mention, but it's easy to look it up if you don't know it offhand. But I have yet to watch that movie, and yeah, and there you go. But yeah, card number 13 is the child, and it is associated with the Jack of Spades. And by the way, even though the child in this Lenormand Oracle deck is female, the child card can represent any child of any gender. And then we have card number 14, which is the fox. The playing card inset is the 9 of clubs. And I know that I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating because I'm a cat lover, and I know that I'm not the only cat lover in YouTube land. So when asking about a cat, one can use the fox card. unless that particular Lenormand deck that you're using has a cat card. Some of them out there do. They are considered modified or expanded Lenormand decks. But since this one does not have a cat card, one could use the fox card. Card number 15, the bear, and its playing card inset and association is the 10 of clubs. And then we have card number 16, which is the stars. In most Lenormand decks, the card is called the stars. Now, keep in mind, this is a card that can be found in tarot, because there are a few cards that can be found, at least a name, in both tarot and Lenormand. But keep in mind that the association or the general interpretations for the star card or the stars card, because in some tarot decks the card is called the stars card, is not identical to the stars card in Lenormand. There are some similarities, but there are a lot of differences. Generally speaking, of all of the cards that are named in tarot that are also found in Lenormand, the one that has the closest number of similarities is the Sun card. The Sun card in both tarot and Lenormand have a lot of interpretations in common, but it's the only one. The Tower card in tarot and the Tower card in Lenormand are vastly different. The Moon card is very different in tarot than in Lenormand. Same thing with the Stars card, although there are some similarities. But of all of the cards that can be found in both tarot and Lenormand, the Sun card has the most number of similarities. And the playing card inset is the 6 of Cups. And then we have, in this case, the Stork card, although it depicts more than one stork. So one could easily call card 17 in this Lenormand deck the Stork's card. Same interpretations as the Stork card in Lenormand. Card number 17, and it has both a playing card inset and association of the Queen of Hearts. Then we have card number 18, the Dog, and the playing card inset and association is the 10 of Hearts. And you can see in the upper left corner of the card more light, meaning that this dog is looking in the direction of the moon, and given the amount of light, it would be safe to say that it is a full moon. Card number 19 is the Tower. And again, the Tower in tarot and the Tower card in Lenormand are vastly different. In fact, one of the traditional interpretations of the Tower card in Lenormand is institutions and agencies. For example, a hospital, a government agency, the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, and of course the one that some of my fellow nerds or geeks learn from certain TV shows and movies and movie franchises as No Such Agency, or NSA for short. And the playing card inset is the 6 of Spades. And then card number 20 is the Garden. Although in some Lenormand decks it is called the Park. And that's because around the time that this card reading system originated, parks and gardens were where people went to be seen. Drake, is everything okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. And it is card number 20, and the playing card inset and association is the 8 of Spades. By the way, I happen to love gazebos. Gazebos are one of my favorite places to sit and one of my favorite places to be photographed. Drake knows this all too well because he's photographed me in several gazebos. Okay, card number 21, the Mountain. And the playing card inset and association is the 8 of clubs. I keep leaning forward because for some reason at this distance, unless I lean in closer, the club looks a lot like a spade. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you the correct playing card inset and association. So again, card number 21 is the Mountain, and the playing card inset and association is the 8 of clubs. And then we have card number 22, which is, in this Lenormand deck, the Crossroads. In some Lenormand decks, it's called the Path, or the Pathways, or the Ways. One sign reads, it's so strange, I cannot make it out. In the description box, I will list what the individual signs say. But yeah, so it is the Ways, card number 22, or rather, and the Crossroads. Thank you. I'm going to use the little pen light. Thank you, Drake. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot make it out. And I think it's a combination of this light, the torchère lamp, and the ring light. So, but thank you, Drake. But what I will do is, when I fill in the description box for this video, I will look at what the signs actually say. For some reason, I think that some of the names of the signs are in Latin, and I think that's what's throwing me a little bit. Do I know how to speak Latin? No. Could I understand Latin? For the most part, yes, since Latin is the mother tongue of all Romance languages, and I happen to know 2 of them, Spanish and French, but my French is massively rusty. My Spanish is a little rusty, because I don't really interact with a lot of people that speak Spanish anymore. Card number 22, the Crossroads, and the Queen of Diamonds is the playing card inset and association. Then we have card number 23, the Mice. 7 of Clubs is the playing card inset. Card number 24, the Heart. And appropriately enough, its playing card inset and association is the Jack of Hearts. You know, it's so funny because I remember, keep in mind that I'm a happily recovered Catholic, but I've seen images of Yeshua the Anointed One, more commonly known as Jesus the Christ, and it depicts these 3 flames rising from his heart. And I believe they call that the heart of Christ. And when I first looked at the top part of this heart in this Lenormand deck, you know, I couldn't help but think back to that. And of course, keep in mind that France historically is a very Catholic country. So looking at this and thinking about these associations with France's culture, its history, its religion, its spirituality, its politics, a lot of these thoughts came into my mind. And now, when I saw card number 25, the Ring, in this particular Lenormand deck, I was very captivated by this ring. This is not the kind of ring that I would normally wear personally. Every once in a while, I will see a ring that looks like this, you know, that has a very large gemstone and a very large setting, and it draws me. This one absolutely draws me. And when I first looked at it, my immediate thought was labradorite, because it has those inclusions that are more like labradorite or one of its cousins, moonstone. If it had a different gemological appearance, I would say blue opal. But a lot of labradorite casts this blue chatoyancy. Chatoyancy is the cat's eye effect that labradorite and moonstone have, that glow, that inner glow, if you will. And the Ace of Clubs is the playing card inset and association. And then we have card number 26, which is associated with the 10 of diamonds, and it is the book. Yes, it's so funny because some of you know that I happen to love Pinterest, and I actually started a new Pinterest board called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And, you know, the other day I saw a pin of the Vampire book. And, you know, when I first saw this book, I thought of the Vampire tome on Buffy the Vampire Slayer because it's that large and that thick. And it's certainly, I mean, it immediately draws me like, what is contained in this tome? This is not a book, this is a tome. Card number 27, I was right the first time, is the letter. And I love that it depicts a candle, because there was a time when there was no electricity. Light came from candles. And the playing card inset is the 7 of spades. By the way, in Lenormand, one does not interpret the cards that are associated or inset on the Lenormand cards, but it does give additional insight. And truth be told, one of the reasons why I was drawn to learning classical cartomancy, which is more commonly known as playing card divination, is because of the playing card insets on Lenormand cards. And I am in the same camp as Lisa Young Sutton, whose YouTube channel, Lisa Loves Lenormand, is one of my top favorite Lenormand themed YouTube channels. And that is that the playing card insets really add an additional layer and dimension to a Lenormand reading. And then we have card number 28, which is the man. In some Lenormand decks, it is called the gentleman. The playing card inset is the Ace of Hearts. And I find it interesting because hearts and diamonds are feminine suits in playing cards. Of course, they correspond to the cups and the pentacles, respectively. And keep in mind that from a Western astrology perspective, we have the cups that correspond to the water signs, which are feminine polarity in Western astrology. And then we have the pentacles, which are astrologically aligned with the earth signs, another feminine polarity element. I mention this because card number 29 is called the woman, although in some Lenormand decks, in most Lenormand decks actually, it's called the lady. And the playing card inset and association is the Ace of Spades. Spades and clubs correspond to the masculine suits, or rather more specifically the phallic suits of the minor arcana, the swords and the wands respectively. And from a Western astrology perspective, let me try that again, say that 3 times fast. Say that 3 times fast. Spades, swords, as in spades/swords, correspond traditionally to the element of air. Air is a masculine polarity element, and then clubs/wands traditionally correspond to the fire signs, another masculine polarity element. So I find it interesting, and of course, both cards and their respective playing card insets and associations remind me of the Tao. The Tao is more commonly known as the yin-yang symbol, or the yin-yang symbol, because within each curved tier, T-E-A-R, is the symbol or the representative color of the other one. Within the curved black tier is a white dot, and vice versa. So within the masculine there is the feminine, within the feminine there is the masculine. Anima is the feminine inside the masculine, Animus is the masculine inside the feminine. I hope I'm not being sexist in what I just said. That's just what I've learned. If any of you out in YouTube land feel that there is a more appropriate way to express those words, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to correct myself. That's confirmation. Now, that scared the crap out of me. Cojones! Anyway, moving on. Card number 30, the Lily. In some Lenormand decks, they're called the Lilies. Although in this one, it depicts one fully bloomed lily and a few other buds. Card number 30, and the playing card inset in association is the King of Spades. Which is interesting because one of the traditional meanings of the Lily card is a mature man, specifically a grandfather. Keep in mind, just like with tarot cards, Lenormand cards have various interpretations and meanings. Then we have card number 31, which is the Sun. And again, the Sun card in Lenormand has a lot of similarities to the Sun card in tarot. And the playing card association is the Ace of Diamonds, which is so appropriate. I used some vanilla hazelnut coffee. It was a first-time purchase for me. It will not be a last-time purchase, I assure you. And there was a Jamaican blend, but that's another topic for another video for another day. I love how, it really is a setting sun. And one could argue that this is the moon that's beginning to rise. Even though this is the number of the numbered area of the card, it still looks like a full moon. It's such a beautiful sun. And for me, given the nature of this deck, it is definitely a setting sun. It is not a rising sun. And card number 32 is the moon. Because my mother goddess is a full moon goddess, and because my specific practice of magic and witchcraft is moon magic, the moon card in Lenormand is the equivalent for me of the High Priestess card of a tarot deck. And of course, keep in mind that the High Priestess card in tarot is astrologically aligned with the moon. With the moon card in Lenormand, 8 of Hearts is the playing card inset and association. And again, the moon card in tarot and the moon card in Lenormand do not have a lot of similarities. There is one book that I read of one Lenormand book that I read recently. I'm not going to mention the name. When I read that, in this particular Lenormand book, the author associated the moon card in Lenormand with the psychic, with the intuitive, with the maternal. And I'm like, this is the first book to ever mention that. And at this point, I've read 10 books about Lenormand. Granted, I've only been using Lenormand and studying Lenormand and learning about Lenormand for about 2.5 years. But in the short time that I've read Lenormand books, that was the first and only one that I've read that talks about these astrological associations with the moon card. And I'm like, okay, no other book says this. And, and that's not to say that it's not correct, it's not true. But I'm like, but how come all of these 9 other books didn't mention it? That's just a pet peeve of mine regarding this book. I will not mention the name. If you ask, I will tell you what the book is. It does have good qualities. I'm not poo-pooing the book. Not at all. I learned a lot from this book. But that was just one thing that irritated me, and technically it still does. Okay, moving forward. Card number 33, the Key. And the playing card inset is the 8 of Diamonds. I love this key. I love the design. I love the energy that radiates from this key card in this particular Lenormand deck. I really dig it. And again, you know, one of the things that I've learned about the key card is that it has the equivalent energy of a major arcana card. So when it comes to seeing the key card in a Lenormand reading, whether it's a 5-card spread, a 9-card box spread, or even a grand tableau, that key card is very significant, and at its core, it really means that the seeker, or the term that I would use, the client, is absolutely in touch with what they need to do to overcome the obstacle and to achieve great success. In other words, it really is about the client has everything at their disposal, within their power, to make a positive and powerful change with regards to that situation, that goal, that obstacle, that situation, that issue, that what have you. And it definitely is what I would call a card that a client would want to see. Card number 34, the fish. King of Diamonds is the playing card inset and association. Also very appropriate because traditionally the fish card has to do with money, with wealth, with professional success, with financial success. And diamonds in playing card divination have to do with wealth, with opulence, with money, with commerce, with professional success, with financial fulfillment, etc. And of course, in Chinese culture, fish is a symbol of abundance and prosperity. There is a Chinese buffet that Drake and I have been to a few times over the years, and it was in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and I loved it. I loved it because the service was excellent, the food was great, and the prices were very reasonable. But I also loved it because the family had a little area for the koi fish. By the way, these koi fish were some of the most gorgeous I've ever seen. They radiated joy, they radiated beauty. And when I learned that this Chinese buffet had closed, I was so disappointed because I was just like, oh my goddess, this is such an amazing place. So, you know, there are some places that just didn't last after we got out of a pandemic, but, you know, but they are absolutely missed. Card number 35, the Anchor, and the playing card inset is the 9 of Spades. This is a card of stability and a solid foundation, generally speaking. Card number 36, the Cross. 6 of Clubs is the playing card inset and association. Would it surprise you to learn that some of the traditional interpretations of the Cross card are strife, hardship, burdens, and guilt? Sounds very Catholic to me, doesn't it? Which is why I fondly say, thank you, great goddess, that I am a happily recovered Catholic. And now we come to the expanded portion of this deck. So, Tony Savory of The Card Geek has said that if you're learning Lenormand, and it happens to have more than 36 cards, only work with the first 36. But once you gain proficiency, you can use the additional number of cards, whether it's 8, whether it's 19, whether it's whatever it is. Personally, I tend to resonate more and work better with expanded Lenormand decks. I know that's not traditional, but that's just what works for me, and my clients seem to have no issue with me using expanded decks, although I have used traditional decks, so there you go. So card number 37 is called Pandora's Box. And of course, because these are part of the expanded portion of the deck, they do not have playing card associations or insets. So card number 37 is Pandora's Box. And some of the interpretations include a process that generates many complicated problems as the result of unwise interference in something, or someone for that matter. Because I don't remember the exact details, but Pandora was just a very curious sort. So she saw this box, she knew instinctively it belonged to her, but somebody was messing around with it. I don't remember who. You can let me know in the comments though. And then card number 38 is the Snail. Slow, steady, fertile, time, change, adaptable, flexible, growth, protective. These are some of the key words that are associated with this card. Card number 39, Magic Lamp. You should be careful of wishful thinking and be alert of the choices that you make, is one of the interpretations for this card. Card number 40, the Keyhole. Now, I will admit, when I saw that there's a card called the Keyhole, my mind thought, well, if the key and the keyhole cards are next to each other, that would be something positive and auspicious, right? Not necessarily. Because endings, change, indecision, inaction, doubts. This card signals that one major phase in your life is ending and a new one is going to start. You just need to choose one door so the new one will open. So part of me still thinks that if the key card and the keyhole card come out together, that's actually a positive, empowering, auspicious situation. When I do readings with this deck, I'll see what happens. Card number 41, the Island. An unattainable dream, plans for the distant future, long-term planning, delay, dreams of a better future. This card shows the process of dreaming, wool gathering. The person's ideas about life have nothing to do with reality. You need to soberly assess your own capabilities. It makes me think of how some people would say, you know, if I lived on my own island, my life would be perfect. No one is an island. Card number 42, the Hourglass. If I did untimed readings, I would use an hourglass. Leaving time, missed opportunities, there is no time to wait. Card number 43, the Balloon. Realization of dreams, achievement of the main goal, the joy of life. And there's a French phrase that I love. It's called joie de vivre, which literally means joy of life. Although my personal favorite French phrase is raison d'être, which means reason for being. And then the last card, card number 44, is the Arch. New beginnings, change, metamorphoses. It can also mean that you need to let go of any unhealthy attachments that you have in your life. This is an important part of life. So learning to keep moving is the order of the day. And this is the back of the card design, which I think is like gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I love the prismatic effect. You have more of the blue and purple at the top, and more of the red and orange and yellow at the bottom. So there's definitely this like rainbow effect around the full moon. The booklet is very bare bones. You have an introduction. You have the cards. The illustrations for the cards are next to the names and the numbers of the cards, as well as their interpretations, their keywords. And then you have the back. Tarocco Studio is listed, or Tarocco Studio is listed as the author and the creator of the deck. No specific name is associated with the writing of the deck and the illustration of the deck. If I find out who exactly wrote and or illustrated the deck, I will include that in the description box. But this is a beautiful, beautiful Lenormand deck. And I really love the imagery. I love the size of the cards. The cards are definitely larger than a Petit Lenormand, but they're definitely smaller than a Grand Jeu Lenormand. The Grand Jeu Lenormand deck is more commonly known as the astro-mythological because it depicts scenes from different classical and Hellenic mythological stories. The 12 labors of Heracles, the goddesses and gods of Mount Olympus, and other such. I believe there's also a card in the Grand Jeu Lenormand, the astro-mythological Lenormand, that depicts Jason with the golden fleece, and I'm pretty sure that there is at least one card that depicts, I believe it was Paris, giving a golden apple to Aphrodite. And you know Aphrodite bribed him, right? I know for some of you in YouTube land, Aphrodite is your mother goddess, but, let's not mince words. I mean, hell, my mother goddess, the goddess more commonly known as Isis, tricked her father Ra into revealing his secret name. So, all of these goddesses have a dark side. We know they do. Anyway, so I will include in the description box the link for this deck to look at it for yourself. And of course, if you have any questions about this deck, please do not hesitate to ask. I want to thank Tarocco Studio, not Tarocco Studio, Tarocco Studio for offering the Moonlight Night Oracle Deck, which is a beautiful addition to Lenormand Decks. And of course, I want to thank all of you in YouTube land for honoring who I am and what I do, for all the likes, for all the comments, for all the shares, and for all the subscriptions to my YouTube channel. And of course, an extra big and beautiful thank you to those of you who have scheduled your sessions. I wish all of you a beautiful night, a beautiful weekend, and stay tuned for the next video.